In the evening, a couple of young people stood on the street. The man begged the girl to tell him that this was Gina. This was his daughter, that she was their daughter. The girl had been hiding her emotions for so long, but seeing his desperation, she gave in. She decided to tell the truth, that it was his child for his sake. 7 years ago, Lee Jono, a third-year student, found out she was pregnant. She was only 22 years old and didn't know what to do. Lee was worried about the fact that she had drunk a little wine yesterday. But a little later, she decided that alcohol was not the main problem right now. The girl calmed down and began to think about how to tell her lover about her pregnancy. She thought that she could ask him to go to the hospital with her. Then Lee was afraid that he might get angry with her because of this. But the girl reassured herself that John Ji-hyun was to blame for this happening. John Ji-hyun was a fourth-year student. He was 26 years old, and now he was waiting for his girlfriend on the street. They were supposed to meet and go for a walk. Lee met Jong 8 months ago, and they have been in a relationship for 6 months. One day, while on vacation in Australia, Lee met a guy. As she stood outside a Korean store crying because she hadn't eaten in 2 days, a stranger helped her and gave her money for food. John helped her through that difficult time in her life and seemed to the girl to be a good person, a kind and reliable man. He always protected her and was an ideal partner. But Lee was afraid that this unplanned pregnancy would push him away from her. So she decided to go for a walk with him, and when she had the chance, tell Jong everything. After walking around for a bit, the guy suggested that Lee go somewhere to eat. The girl didn't want to because she wasn't feeling well, so she refused. Jong was very surprised that she didn't want to go to the restaurant, so he carefully touched her forehead to check if she had a temperature. Ji-hoon put his jacket on her so that Jono wouldn't get cold, and offered to take her home. The girl decided that it would be easier to talk to him at home. At that moment, a guy approached them and greeted Lee Jono. The guy patted her on the head and asked why they hadn't seen each other for so long. The girl replied that she was very busy and smiled. The friend asked if it was because of her new boyfriend. Lee laughed and didn't answer. When the boy left, Lee told Jong that it was her friend Songbae. They were in college together and he lived nearby. Jong said it was time for them to go. Lee thought she could tell him about her pregnancy at home, but as soon as they entered the apartment, Jong started kissing her. The girl stopped her lover and said that she needed to tell him something. Jong looked at her in surprise and asked what happened. Lee really wanted to confess, but she couldn't. The girl said she was very hungry. The young man was surprised again and asked why she refused the restaurant then. Jong invited Lee to have dinner together. The man made pancakes for his beloved, and after a while their plates were empty. After dinner, Jong asked Lee how she was feeling. The girl said she was fine. Then the man said it was time for him to go on business. He said goodbye and headed for the door. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, Jong saw a strange object on the dresser. As he got closer, he saw that it was a pregnancy test. The man asked Lee what it meant, but the girl remained silent. Then Jong walked up to her and hugged her tightly. He told her that everything was fine and that she needed to rest. Jong promised to call her in the evening because he had to go now. The man kissed her on the forehead and left. Lee lay down on the bed with the phone in her hands. Late that evening, he finally called. Jong suggested that Lee go to the hospital with her. She was afraid that he would demand an abortion, but Jong said it was necessary to get the pregnancy diary. At that time, Lee was very happy and confessed to her lover that she was worried that he would be angry. The man replied that everything was fine. He added that they would meet tomorrow and go to the hospital together. Jong was holding his wedding ring and wanted to confess his love to Lee, but he simply wished the girl good night. The man decided that he would tell her about it tomorrow. Although it was unplanned, Jong wanted to make a spectacular proposal. The next day, Jean decided to leave the apartment a little early to buy flowers for Lee. While he was getting ready, his mother called him. She asked her son if he was busy. John said he was a little busy. Then the woman asked why he left so quickly yesterday. The man replied that he had some urgent matters to attend to. His mother said that he always said that. She asked him to come to their house with his father for dinner. Jian replied that he would come to their house soon because he wanted to introduce them to his girlfriend. The woman was very surprised, but still she was happy. Then she said that someone had thrown eggs at his brother's car, so she asked her son to be careful. The young man reassured his mother and said that everything would be fine. As he left the apartment, Jong imagined himself holding a baby who looked so much like Lee. He wanted to give this child a chance to know a happy future. Jeong imagined walking with her in the snow for the first time, teaching her to ride a bike. He decided he wanted to hold Lee's hand and protect them both. As he dreamily walked out into the parking lot to get into his car, Jong heard only the screeching of wheels and immediately fell to the ground. He knew it was the end. A strange man approached him and checked to see if he was alive. The stranger looked quite suspicious because he was dressed in black. A black cap covered his eyes so that it was impossible to see his face. John begged the man to save him and call an ambulance. The stranger got behind the wheel of his car and drove away. Then Jong realized that this man had hit him on purpose. But now he was only thinking about Lee being left alone with the child. John was worried that she would give up on the child. It was so hard to raise a child alone. He wanted so much to protect them, to live a long and happy life with them. The man lay in a pool of blood in the empty parking lot of his house and blamed himself for not telling Lee sooner that he loved her. John Ji-hoon's mother cried in the hallway as doctors fought for his life in the operating room. The woman sitting next to her comforted her. Suddenly, the police officers approached them. They informed the mother that the video surveillance system in the parking lot had malfunctioned, so there was no image. But they managed to find a car with a working DVR, which allowed them to get the license plate number of the representative who hit her son. The policeman told the woman that the moment of the hit and run was recorded, and that they had identified the perpetrator. The mother begged him to catch him. The police officer then asked if she knew the name Kim Jin-gu. Before the woman could answer, a young girl approached them and said she had witnessed the accident. The girl rushed to Jeon's mother and asked if she recognized her. After all, she was Inbi, Ji-hoon's friend, and Choi In-up's sister. The woman didn't know her. Then Inbi said that she had recently returned to Jihoon University after studying in the United States. The mother cried and hugged the girl while Inbi comforted her. The girl said the surgery would go well and wiped away her mother's tears. Inbi suggested that the woman rest a bit while she went down to the police station. At the office, the girl said that she saw a man in the parking lot wearing black clothes and a black cap. He was about 5 feet tall and had a hoarse voice. When the detained Kim Jin-gu was brought to her, Inbi said that it was him, the same criminal. But the man shouted why she was saying that and why she had done this to him. The girl said that the voice also sounded like the criminal's. The man was surprised that the girl knew him. The policeman thanked Inbi for helping the investigation. He then told Jeon Ji-hoon's mother that thanks to Chae In-bi's clues, they were able to quickly catch the criminal. The policeman wished her son a speedy recovery. When the woman received Ji-hoon's things, she saw a ring in a box. The mother realized that he wanted to introduce them to his fiancée. The woman sat down next to her son's bed and took his hand. She unlocked the phone with his fingerprint and began reading the messages on Ji-hoon's phone. There were many messages from a girl who was signed Jono. She asked what happened and why he wasn't answering. Her mother wrote to her, "Don't write to me anymore." Lee read the message and couldn't believe that Ji-hyun would write something like that after being silent for 3 days. She decided that something was wrong. Chan's mother found a photo of him with a girl in his apartment. She immediately realized that he wanted to introduce them to her. The woman crumpled up the photo and threw it away. Lee Jono walked into Ji-hoon's apartment and shouted, "Honey, it's me!" The woman opened the door for her and asked why she had come. Jono was very surprised to see someone else in Jeon's apartment. The woman invited the girl in and said that she was Jeon Ji-hoon's mother. The mother saw how carelessly the girl put her shoes away. This meant that she grew up without a father. In Korea, girls are taught to put their shoes with the toes facing the door, which is a woman's duty. Lee Jono told Ji-hoon's mother that she was very pleased to meet her, but the woman interrupted her and asked why the girl was trying to open the apartment door. Jono said that she knew the password to the apartment that John had given her. The woman said that she had changed the password, so she had better get out of here. The girl said that she was very worried because Ji-hoon disappeared. She asked her mother what happened to him. The lady replied that he was fed up with her. That's why he sent his mother here, so that he wouldn't even have to meet Lee in person. The woman told the girl to leave as soon as possible. But Lee Jono grabbed the woman's hand and begged her to at least call Ji-hoon. John's mother broke away from Lee and told her to forget about her son. The mother sat over her son's bed and cried. The operation was successful, but 15 days had passed, and Jihoon had still not regained consciousness. Inbi came to the room and persuaded the woman to go get some rest. She told her mother that Jihoon should wake up and see her beautiful and tireless face. The mother agreed and left, thinking that this girl was the perfect match for her son. The daughter of Judge Choe Sobok, who was well educated, was the one her son should meet. When the woman left, Inbi sat down next to the bed and looked at Jihoon. She thought he was a very handsome man. The girl really wanted to kiss him. Inbi thought she could kiss Jihoon while no one was watching. At that moment, a boy entered the room. He asked the girl what she was doing here. It was Park Seung-gyu, John Ji-hoon's high school classmate. They also went to university together and served in the army. In-bi didn't like Park, so she also asked why he had come here. He replied in surprise that he had come to see a friend. Park added that he had heard that she had witnessed the accident. The guy said that in this case, it seemed strange to him that the accident occurred at 2:10 p.m., while in her testimony, it was 2:30 p.m. Park asked Inbi why she waited so long to report the accident. She replied that her phone was dead, so she reported it as soon as she was able to turn it on. Then the guy said that she could find the security guard in the parking lot and tell him what happened. Suddenly, Inbi screamed that Jihoon had come to his senses. As soon as John removed the breathing mask from his face, Park asked him if he could see and recognize him. Jihoon shocked his friend by asking who he was. The guy told them that they were friends and had studied together and then served in the army. Jihoon was surprised and asked Park if he had served in the army. Jihoon's very excited mother ran into the room. She hugged her son and said that she was very worried about him, but the boy lost consciousness again. The doctor told the woman that the patient only remembers the last few years. He thinks he is 23 years old. Therefore, it is very important to avoid stressful situations now. Jihoon's mother and Inbi went to have coffee on the first floor of the hospital. The woman said that Jihoon doesn't remember the last 3 years of his life. Hearing this, Inbi pretended to be upset and said that it meant he didn't remember her. The girl added that he had loved her once, but now he probably wouldn't remember it. The woman was very happy and suggested that she try to start over. Inbi was glad that John's mother was on her side and promised to try to mend relations with Jihoon. When the young man woke up again, his mother asked him how he was. Jihoon replied that he was not very well. Then the woman asked if he had seen Inbi. He asked if she was Choi In-ob's sister. His mother was glad that he remembered her and told him that she had sat by his bedside every day, waiting for him to regain consciousness. She also said that they liked each other, and he suggested that Inbi meet him before she left for America. Jihoon was very surprised by this. He told his mother that it was strange because he didn't like Inbi at all. Then the woman said that maybe he was just saying that out of politeness. But his mother added that this girl was very kind and beautiful, and also treated his mother very warmly. After these words, the young man grabbed his head and screamed in pain. The woman asked what was wrong, and Jong said that his head hurt really bad. Jihoon kept thinking that he had forgotten something very important. Lee Jono went to the hospital. On the street, she saw a happy couple celebrating the fact that they would soon become parents. Jono ran home and cried all night. She knew that she wouldn't be like everyone else. Lee knew that she would be a single mother, just like her mother. Suddenly, Jihoon's name flashed on her phone. Jono answered his call happily and excitedly. She immediately asked what was wrong. The voice on the phone replied that he was fine. The girl asked her lover where he was now so she could come. But the man said that his mother had already said everything for him. Lee didn't understand if it was really him. The voice seemed to be Jihoon's. He then told her not to try to look for him and to live her life without him. Jono couldn't believe it. It seemed to her like it was just someone's evil joke. Now, the little one is 1 year old. She has already started calling for her mother. A little later, the girl learned to run. Jono rejoiced at every success of her daughter. Gina is already in kindergarten and is going to start school next year. She is 5 years old and is very sweet and inquisitive. She also loves to sing songs to her mother. Gina has many friends and is enjoying life. Jono no longer waits for a phone call from Jihoon. She simply raises their daughter alone. During a walk after kindergarten, Aina pointed out to her mother the marble machine. Jono gave her daughter a coin because she knew she really wanted to play. When the girl put money into the machine, a transparent ball with two small bouncing balls fell out. One ball was white and the other was black. Jaina said that what she had gotten was exactly what she wanted. The girl liked that the balls looked like checkers in the game of Padakone, which she loved very much. Jono was happy to have such a wonderful daughter. She no longer waited for Jihoon to call her. Now she had Yena, and that was the most important thing. Lee took her daughter to a cafe to visit her grandmother, her mother. Grandma fed her girls deliciously. After dinner, Jono wanted to wash all the dishes, but her mother forbade her. The woman told her daughter that it was time to go home, as tomorrow would be her first day at work at her new place. But Jono didn't listen and helped her mother anyway. The next morning, Jono took Yena to kindergarten and called her friend Seungba. She told him that she was leaving for a new job. Then the man said that she would need to find the office of the MEX company. The girl was surprised because she was sure that she needed the Sana company. Seungbae said that the company, Sana, was bought out by the company MEX. And it happened so quickly that they decided not to draw up an employment contract for Lee Jono again, but to immediately transfer her to MEX. The friend reassured the girl and said that she would quickly get used to the new place. He also added that this company was even more suitable for her career. Seonbae said he would come to her soon, but for now, she had to go there herself. When Jono found the Max office, she thought that maybe it was for the best. After all, it was a large company with career opportunities, and the office was closer to her home. Jono's thoughts were interrupted by a man who called her. He greeted and introduced himself to the girl. It was Park Shin-gyu, the head of the Human Resources Department at MEXI. Park introduced her to the woman who was her immediate supervisor. Song Mi-ran was the head of the second production team, and Lee Jono was the new copywriter on her team. The women quickly found common ground and headed for the elevator. Moran seemed like a very kind woman to Jono. In the elevator, she asked the girl if she was upset about being transferred to another company. The woman then explained that they urgently needed a copywriter, so they had to quickly arrange for her to come here. The manager introduced Lee Jono to her new colleagues and showed her the workplace. She told Jono that Song Ki-hoon, a graphic designer, would tell her everything next. A little later, Song Mi-ran asked Ki-hoon if Director John was with her. Upon learning that he was in the office, Moran told Lee Jono that they should go to the principal to say hello. As they walked down the hallway, the woman told them that they had a new principal. That's how she learned that the company's director was the son of the chairman of the group of directors of the company MEX. Seeing the director, Jono realized that life is so unpredictable. His body, his face, his hair. It was definitely him. Jono had no doubt that the father of her child, Jeon Ji-hoon, was standing before her. She almost fainted, but he caught her. Lee had imagined their meeting many times. She had wanted to touch her beloved husband for so long, but each time she had pushed the thoughts out of her head. Jono promised herself that she wouldn't doubt it, even after meeting him. But it was very difficult. Sun Moran saw that the newcomer was not feeling well and approached them. The manager introduced director Lee Jono as the new copywriter from the second production team. The director said it was a pleasure to meet him and shook Lee's hand. The mother was pulling her son by the hand, and the boy was crying because he didn't want to go to the Paduk club. The woman said that he liked the game on TV, so she had already paid for the club. After much persuasion, the boy agreed to try, but on the condition that his mother would let him go for a walk after class. Sitting down at the table, he continued to cry. Then Yena, who loved playing Paduk and also attended the club, approached him to get to know him. The boy's name was Pak Do-bin, and he attended the same kindergarten as her. Gina asked him which color he liked best. Pak chose black. Then she placed a white stone, and the boy made a move with black. The girl asked why he was crying if he knew the rules of the game. Gina smiled at him, and 6-year-old Dobin thought that he had never met such a sweet girl in his life. When Dobin ran out of the office, his mother was very surprised that he wasn't crying. She patted him on the head and asked if he had fun in class. The boy asked his mother if she had fallen in love with his father at first sight. The woman was surprised that he would ask, and Puck admitted that he had just felt the same way. Ji-hoon sat in his office and couldn't understand what was bothering him so much. He couldn't forget the look on his face from that new copywriter from the second production team. He seemed to feel some discomfort being around her. When the assistant brought the lists of workers to sign, Zhang saw her name again. He asked the employee if the girl had undergone a medical examination before being hired. Song Moran replied that she definitely had, because it was mandatory. Then the director asked why she almost fainted when she saw him. Is it possible that she has health problems? Moran replied that the girl is fine. She said she felt much better when they left. The assistant suggested that the girl was simply nervous about meeting the company director. But Director Zhang didn't believe it and asked Moran to bring Lee Jono to his office. Song Moran approached the girl at the moment when her colleague was explaining something on the computer. When the woman told Lee that the director wanted to see her, the girl was surprised and scared at the same time. She said that she would go to the director's office herself. But Moran said it would be better if they went together. As they walked down the hallway, Jono wondered why he had called her after pretending not to recognize her. The girl thought that maybe he wanted to fire her. And he would tell her how then, so that she would not be an obstacle in his life. When they entered the office, the director asked Lee if everything was okay. Jono was silent because she didn't know what to say. The man explained that she looked very tired, so he asked how she was feeling. Then he assumed that she was upset. The director asked the girl if she regretted joining their company because she was applying for a job at Sana, but ended up at Mex. Jang Ji-hoon continued to praise his company, and Jono didn't understand why he had called her. Then the director asked if she would be able to handle her duties. Lee Jono replied that she would try. With that, they said goodbye. At the end of the workday, Park Seung-gyu picked up Ji-hyun to go home together. Shin-gyu noticed that his friend was a bit excited and asked what happened. Ji-hoon replied that he had a new employee. Park said that he knew about a new copywriter. Jeon said that the girl turns pale every time she sees him. Seung-gyu replied that it was not surprising because many people are afraid of their leader. But what was strange was that he was interested in this girl. The young man asked if he liked her. Ji-hoon didn't answer, so Park Seung-gyu invited him to his place for dinner. He added that his mother had invited him. John Ji-hoon told his friend to just ignore his mother's words. Park asked how that was possible if a mother was the most sacred thing in the world. Ji-hoon said goodbye to his friend and got into the back seat of his car. The driver took him home, and he reflected on how his entire life was a lie. This life doesn't seem so bad, even after losing his memory. It's a life where you don't have to try to keep your place. It's a life he's so bored with. When he got home, Ji-hoon undressed and sat on the sofa. He couldn't forget the girl's face. And the name Lee Jono gave him some strange feelings. The man had many questions that he couldn't find answers to. Suddenly, the door to his room opened. Lee Jono walked over to the sofa and sat right on it. She started kissing him, and the man woke up. He realized that he had dozed off while sitting on the couch. Ji-hoon thought he was going crazy over her. Jono was walking home and was angry with Ji-hoon for pretending not to recognize her. She decided that he was no longer the man she knew. Lee Jono thought he was really who he was now. And before, she was familiar with his false image. The girl had no idea that he was from a wealthy family, but she quickly pushed those thoughts aside as she walked to the door of her apartment. Jono was happy to have Jen. She couldn't have dreamed of anything else. The girl ran to her as soon as the door opened. She hugged her mother tightly and didn't let go for a long time. Grandma asked Jono if she was working too much. Lee replied that the first day on the job had been tough. Then Jono asked her daughter if she had fun at the Paduk course. Jaina happily told her mother about her new friend. The girl was a little upset that his mother was taking him to classes and waiting for him there. Jono asked her daughter if she was offended by her. Gina replied that she was a little. The mother apologized to her daughter and hugged her, sitting on the sofa. Lee Jono thought about how good it would be for her daughter if she had a father. She wondered if it was possible that he didn't know she had given birth to Aina. Lee suggested that he wouldn't have left them if he had known their daughter was born. Then Jono wondered if she should quit her job. She decided that she would keep working no matter what, because she needed the money to raise their daughter. At breakfast, the mother noticed that something was bothering her son. Ji-hoon said that he hadn't slept well and his shoulder hurt, when in fact, he had simply fallen off the couch. He couldn't tell me about it, but it happened when he dreamed of kissing his new copywriter, Lee Jono. His father told him to be careful with employees. He added that they should be shown who the director is. Then the father asked Ji-hoon how he was doing in his new position. The mother scolded her husband for talking all about work, and the woman herself asked her son how Inbi was doing in his company. Jihoon pretended not to hear the question and asked his father how his brother was doing. Jihoon was told that his brother had gone on a business trip. The man felt very strange in his parents' house. He went to his room and looked at his things. The young man remembered his childhood in this house well, but the events of 7 years ago still remained a great mystery to him, and this worried him greatly. The mother went up the stairs and entered Jihoon's room. She asked her son what he was doing. He said he was just resting. Then Jihoon asked where his father was. The woman replied that he had already left because he was very busy. So much so that he didn't even have time to say goodbye to him. The mother was about to leave when Jihoon asked her what happened. At that time, he didn't remember. The woman stopped at the unexpected question. She replied that he had served, smiled, and left. Jihoon had heard about the army 100 times and nothing more. His mother told him not to dwell on lost memories. The woman approached her son and reminded him that when he was a child, he had a red spot on his forehead. She said that back then, she could tell what he was thinking just by looking at it. When he was in a bad mood, the spot on his forehead would turn red. Jihoon told his mother that it was called an angel's kiss. He remembers covering it with his hair so no one could read his thoughts. The mother hugged the young man and told him that he could always rely on her if any difficulties arose. The man replied that he knew about that and smiled. The next morning, Jana was one of the first to arrive at work. But her colleague Ki-hoon was already at work. He kindly offered to show her the break room. The guy added that they could have coffee together there. Lee Jono said that she would now set up her workplace and catch up with him. Ki-hoon agreed and left. As Jana was taking things out of her purse and arranging them on her desk, a young girl approached her. The girl called out to Lee Jono and asked if she recognized her. Lee didn't answer. Then the beautiful lady said she was Chae Inbi. Jono said she didn't recognize her. Inbi took the girl's hands and confessed that she was very happy to see her. Then she started asking Jono how she was doing, if she liked working here. Lee replied that she had only been working here for 2 days, so she didn't understand yet. When Lee Jono asked Inbi how she was doing and what she was doing, the girl replied that she had recently become the head of this department. This shocked Jono a bit, as she remembered how she and Inbi were in the same class in their first year of high school. One day, Inbi approached her during recess. She suggested that Jono paint her lips with her new lipstick. The girl refused. Then Inbi said that it was a lipstick from a very famous brand and that it would make her pretty face even more beautiful. But Jono refused again, thanking her and explaining that she didn't wear makeup. Since this happened in front of the other girls, Inbi was very hurt by this refusal. The next day, in the cafeteria, Inbi noticed Jono greeting her mother, who was working in the food distribution. When Inbi went to get her portion, the woman poured her soup. The girl noticed that the woman wiped the sweat that had formed on her forehead with her sleeve. Inbi caused a scandal right in the dining room because of this. She said that she could not eat such soup. Inbi intentionally knocked the plate out of the woman's hands, and it fell to the floor next to her. The girl's friends ran over to the sound of the glass breaking and began to calm her down. Then one of her friends told everyone that Inbi had made a remark to the cafeteria worker about hygiene, and she had intentionally spilled a plate of soup on her. The woman said that everything was completely wrong, but they wouldn't listen to her. Inbi demanded an apology, but Jono's mother had nothing to apologize for. After this incident, the woman quit the school cafeteria, and Lee Jono continued to be laughed at because her mother worked in catering. Inbi's friends told everyone that Lee Jono's mother took leftover food home to feed her daughter. They called Jono a beggar, and now, this girl was standing in front of her, saying she was her boss. Inbi said they would see each other a lot, so she reminded Jono to work hard. When Inbi left, the girl sat down in the chair behind her desk and leaned back in her chair. She couldn't believe that all of this was happening to her. First, she met John Ji-hoon here, and now Chae In-bi. Jono thought that this was another reason to quit this job. Just as she was thinking about this, the work phone on her desk rang. The girl answered that it was Lee Jono, the new copywriter from the second production team. Park Seung-gyu from the HR department asked Lee Jono to come to his office. Lee wondered why he had called her, but she immediately went to him. When the girl entered the office, Park Seung-gyu greeted her and invited her to sit down. The man asked if she knew the amount of salary she would receive for this month. Park Seung-gyu put the contract on the table for Lee Jo-no to sign. He said it was all spelled out. When she saw her salary, she immediately dismissed any thoughts of quitting. Jo-no signed the contract and thought that such a high salary would well compensate for her moral damages from having to work with Ji-hoon and In-bi. Park Seung-gyu then gave Lee Jo-no a questionnaire to fill out with personal information. She read the questionnaire and noticed that there was no section on marital status. Jo-no filled out the application and decided that for now, no one should know that she had a daughter. As she left the HR office, she thought, "This is a good job." Lee decided to just avoid those two old acquaintances of hers and work at this good company for a few years. She only thought about it when she noticed him. The company's CEO, Jeon Ji-hyung, was walking down the hallway with the kindergarten teacher and the children. Jo-no hid around the corner and watched the children. She remembered seeing an announcement that the children from Gina's kindergarten would be coming to the company's office for a field trip. Jo-no was surprised that Ji-hoon thought the children were cute. The teacher thanked the director for giving the children the opportunity to visit the company's office. Ji-hoon replied that they could also visit the assembly hall on the top floor. The woman gave him a package and said that the children had baked the cookies themselves, especially for him. She added that they had been helped by a pastry chef, so the entire company staff could be treated. The teacher also said that there were cards from the children in the package. Ji-hoon thanked them for the gifts and said goodbye to the children. But as soon as the elevator doors closed, he went to the trash can. Jo-no saw this and realized he wanted to throw the bag away. She quickly ran over to John and grabbed his hand, but the bag still fell to the bottom of the trash can. The girl couldn't believe that the father of her child could do such a thing. Lee Jo-no shouted at him, "How could you throw them away?" Ji-hoon was scared and grabbed her hand in surprise. He suggested that the girl talk somewhere else, but suddenly, Park Shin-gyu ran up to them and took the director to an urgent meeting of the Mex company. In the elevator, Shin-gyu scolded his friend for grabbing an employee's arm. He said that you shouldn't do that, even if you want to stop someone. It wouldn't be good for the director's reputation. But what worried Ji-hoon was that this girl was talking to him informally. She looked at him and spoke as if they had known each other for a long time. He told his friend about it. Jo-no returned to her desk and thought about how right she had been. She believed he had been dishonest with her all along. The girl seemed to have gotten used to the thought, but it still made her uncomfortable. When she returned, sat down at her desk and started working. Park Shin-gyu called her again. He apologized to Jo-no for the principal and said that they had known each other for a long time, as they had studied together in high school and then served in the army, although he didn't remember it. Then the man said that he would definitely ask the director to personally apologize to her for what had happened. The girl replied that everything was fine and no apology was needed. Then Park Seung-gyu promised to help her if she had any questions. Jo-no thanked him and hung up. She was surprised that Ji-hoon couldn't even apologize on her own. Lee Jo-no was so tired at work that she wanted to go home. But her boss, Song Mi-ran, told her that there was a meeting scheduled for the evening. Jo-no really didn't want to go to this planning meeting because it had to be with Chae In-bi's team, so it happened, and Lee sat across from her at the meeting. Song Mi-ran. Mi-ran said that this time, the first and second groups will work together on a new product. Then, Mi-ran introduced everyone to the new copywriter, Lee Jo-no. Chae In-bi said, with a smile, that she really hopes for good results from the new copywriter. Jo-no was happy that Song Mi-ran said everything for her. Then the discussion of the research topic began. It was planned among office workers between the ages of 20 and 30. Jo-no, In-bi, Ki-hoon, and a few others fit this criteria. The concept of the study was a special beer that can be enjoyed alone after work. Chae In-bi said that she was not suitable because she had been in a relationship for a long time. In-bi boasted to everyone about her engagement ring and suggested that Lee Jo-no, who had previously said that she didn't have a boyfriend, be chosen to be responsible for this research. Jo-no didn't tell anyone that she had a child and agreed. Leader Song Mi-ran said that everyone should be ready with new ideas for the next meeting, which would be held on Tuesday. When everyone went out into the hallway, Mi-ran asked In-bi how she was doing and when she was getting married. In-bi replied that it was very soon. The girl added that she would like it as soon as possible, but said that Mi-ran herself knew how busy her fiancé was. Then they said goodbye and parted ways. When Inbi left, Song Moran told Lee Jono that she saw the girl grab the director's hand and how he threw away the children's gifts. Jono replied that she shouldn't have done that, but the director shouldn't have done the same either. Then Song Miran said that his situation was a little different from theirs. Lee Jono asked what she was talking about. Moran said that John Ji-hoon had once been in a hit-and-run accident and suffered serious injuries, as well as losing his memories for the past 3 years. Then Jono remembered Park Seung-gyu's words about Ji-hoon not remembering their military service together. Lee wondered if he might have thrown away the children's gift because of that incident. She suggested that perhaps he simply didn't trust food prepared by strangers. After all, in such a serious position, one had to be very careful. Jono asked Moran if she remembered exactly when it happened. The woman said she definitely didn't, but she opened the article on her phone and showed it to her. It was an article about a drunken hit-and-run accident and the victim being in serious condition. The article was published on November 3rd, 7 years ago. It was on this day that he promised her to come by the next morning and go to the women's clinic. Tears streamed down Lee Jono's cheeks. Moran asked if everything was okay. The girl thanked the woman for telling her everything. Jono ran to him without even saying goodbye to the manager. In the reception area, the receptionist told her that the director had already gone to the first floor, and Jono ran to the elevator. She realized that he wasn't pretending not to know her. Ji-hoon really didn't recognize her, which meant he didn't know anything about their child, not even that she was born. Jono saw him on the first floor and ran over to him. It hurt so much for Lee not to remember her, and also for the pain he had to go through. The man understood that she wanted to tell him something. Lee Jono asked the director if he knew who she was. Ji-hoon replied that she was his new copywriter. "John Ji-hoon, our daughter is so beautiful," she wanted to say. Jono was about to start telling him something, but Inbi walked up to them and took Ji-hoon's hand. She told him that she was her classmate, their new copywriter. The girl was shocked that it was Inbi's fiancé. Ji-hoon asked if she wanted to tell him something, but Jono said it was time for her to go and quickly left them. Inbi asked her husband what happened and what they talked about. Jong didn't answer, and then the girl asked him to be careful with Lee Jono because she used to steal her makeup back in school. The girl added that Lee denied everything, even though everyone knew it was her. She suggested that Jono might have changed, but it was still better to be prepared. John Ji-hoon abruptly cut her off and told Inbi that she was crossing the line. He left, leaving her standing in the empty parking lot. She knew he would never love her because they only pretended to be a couple in love. 4 years ago, rumors about their relationship spread among their acquaintances. This happened because the girl was always by Ji-hoon's side after the accident. Then Inbi suggested that he pretend to be a couple in love without a real relationship. Ji-hoon agreed because he didn't like the excessive attention from girls and the fact that his mother was always looking for a bride for him. He told Inbi that he didn't care, so she could say whatever she wanted. The girl liked pretending to be his fiancé. Their interests coincided. Thanks to Ji-hoon, Inbi became much more confident at work at the company and enjoyed this relationship. Everyone envied her and who her fiancé was. Inbi bought herself an expensive wedding ring and showed it off to everyone at work. The girl was enjoying what was happening. When the girl saw the announcement of the personnel changes, she was scared. Then, after calming down a bit, she remembered that Ji-hyun had become indifferent to women after the accident. He used to have a lot of girlfriends, but now he avoided relationships. Therefore, Inbi thought that the new Lee Jono-jong would also be indifferent. She counted on the fact that after the accident, he trusted only her, so she thought that she could easily become his wife. Jong Ji-hoon sat in his office, looking at the cookies and the children's cards. He remembered that girl, Lee Jono, again. The man wondered what she wanted to tell him. Ji-hoon thought that maybe Lee Jono wanted to talk about the time he grabbed her hand, but he didn't understand why she asked if he knew who she was. While the director tormented himself with questions he couldn't find answers to, Jono made herself coffee and called her mom. She told him she would be late for work today and asked if Iena had eaten dinner. Mom told Jono that she had found her hairpin in the cafe. The girl asked her mother what hairpin she was talking about. The woman said that Jono had lost the purple hairpin a year ago in her cafe, and now she had found it when she was cleaning. Lee Jono was surprised that she had completely forgotten about the lost hairpin, but her mother still remembered it. The girl wondered if it was the same memory for Ji-hoon. It's such a useless memory that you forget and don't try to remember. When you forget or lose something and don't even remember what you lost, suddenly, Lee Jono's main manager, Chae In-bi, approached her and asked if she was going to the pitching meeting. She then pointed to a folder with documents and said that she should bring it to the hall. Lee Jono said she would do everything and bring the folder she needed for work to the conference room. Chae In-bi asked the girl if anything happened because she was very sad. Jono replied that it was okay. In-bi then asked if the girl was upset by her errand. Lee Jono replied that she was not. Chae In-bi specifically said very loudly so that the other employees could hear that she shouldn't react to management's orders like that. After all, her bad mood was ruining it for him and others. In-bi added that she would take the documents herself, took them, and left. Jono didn't understand what was happening to her, why she was behaving like this, and who had offended her. Park Do-bin cried and ran away from his mother because he didn't want to brush his teeth. When his father came home, he immediately took his youngest daughter, Do-yoon, in his arms. She was a very sweet child. While they were hugging, Mom tried to get Do-bin to brush his teeth. She didn't know what to do anymore, so she came up with a trick. Mom said she would have to tell his friend Jenny that Do-bin didn't brush his teeth and that he was still a dirty boy. Then the boy quickly calmed down and ran to the bathroom. Dad asked his wife what had happened to their son. After all, he had now gone and brushed his teeth himself. Then he asked who this Gina was. The woman replied that she was his friend from the paddock courses. And she is a very smart and beautiful girl who was even noticed by the teacher. Park Shin-gyu was very happy and said that they should be friends with this girl. Lee Jono entered this conference room and approached Chae In-bi with her documents. The manager asked her again if everything was okay. The girl replied that it was. Then In-bi told Jono that she had to watch her facial expression, otherwise everyone would think that there was something wrong with her. Lee Jono thought that in a way she was lucky that Chae In-bi hadn't changed at all. Now she could mentally insult her without feeling guilty. The conference discussed the issue of video lag. MindTalk technology significantly reduces video lag during a conversation. The girl who spoke said that this technology works effectively, even with a weak signal. The young man added that it is a great service for those who often use video calls. Director Jong Ji-hyung entered the conference room and waited for the meeting to continue, ignoring him. He sat next to Chae In-bi and opposite Lee Jono. Jono looked at them and wondered if they were close. 7 years ago, Jong Ji-hoon had had many women. He didn't even hide it. The girl was upset that he had only been dating her for a few months, and he had been with In-bi for probably 7 years. Having fought herself, Lee decided not to be distracted. But then Jono noticed his gaze on her. She wondered why he was looking at her like that when his girlfriend was sitting next to him. An employee reported that the sales volume of the product in 3 months was 5 billion won, not including production costs and online costs. Director Jong Ji-hyun told the girl that it was very good and he would look forward to it. Lee Jono looked at him and thought that she couldn't hear such words from him. When Jono returned home, it was very late. Grandma said that the girl had already fallen asleep, having waited so long for her. Jono was upset that she had not had time to put her to bed. Lee Jono lay down on the couch and told her mother that she felt like she was aging a year every day she went to work. So in 3 weeks, she would be the same age as her grandmother. The girl asked her mother for advice on whether she should quit her job. Her mother replied that she could do it, but then she would also have to quit her cafe. Grandma asked Jono what happened. Did she not like this company? The girl replied that it was good company. She was just very tired from working late. The girl came out of her room and went to her mother. Jono was glad that Jinna was awake and said that they would sleep together tonight. Lying in bed, the girl asked her mother why she was so late. The mother apologized to her daughter and promised her to spend an interesting weekend together. Before going to bed, Yena told her mother that the boy, Park Do-bin, was following her around all the time now. Jono stroked her daughter's hair and asked if she had taught him paddock today. Gina replied that they had a teacher who taught all the children. Mom said she had completely forgotten about that, but smiled. In fact, Jono would also like to have his own teacher, a person who would tell her the right way to solve this problem. She quickly fell asleep, hugging her daughter, because the girl was her main person in this life. The next morning, Jong Ji-hyung came back to his office. He was very tired because it seemed to him that he had not seen anything but this work for a very long time. The secretary told the director that a girl from the production department, copywriter Lee Jono, had come to see him yesterday. The director asked with interest when exactly she had been. The girl replied that it was around lunchtime. The secretary said she had something urgent, so she asked if they could talk. Ji-hoon was intrigued, so he asked his assistant to call Lee Jono to his office. While Jono was chatting with her colleague about work, a girl approached them. She said that the director was calling Lee Jono to his office. Jono was surprised that he wanted to see her again, so she went to the director with her assistant. Lee Jono greeted her and asked the director if he had summoned her. She noticed his attentive gaze on her, and Ji-hoon saw her beautiful eyes and wary gaze. John noticed how nervous she was, but she definitely had something she wanted to tell him. This made him very interested in this girl. He decided to wait a bit and talk to her. The man wanted to possess her without giving himself completely, so to start, Jong suggested that she sit on the sofa. The principal pointed to the girl's cookies on the table. He offered her a treat, and Jono recognized them as the same cookies the children had made. Each cookie was wrapped in an individual bag. Lee Jono asked her husband if he had picked it up from the trash. He then said that she probably wouldn't eat it, but the girl took the cookies and opened the bag. Jong Ji-hoon said that he found out today that she was looking for him. He asked Lee Jono to tell him why she came to him. The employee blushed, and the director asked her to tell him everything as it was and not to be shy about it. Jono quickly thought of an answer and said that she was looking for him because of the cookies. The girl said that she takes food seriously, so she doesn't allow it to be thrown away. She asked the director to give the food to her next time instead of throwing it in the trash. Director Jong smiled and asked the girl if that was why she was looking for him. Jono said yes. Then Ji-hoon asked why she was crying after not finding him. Lee Jono replied that she had other reasons for doing so. Jong Ji-hoon asked what they were. The girl replied that it was because of her personal circumstances. The director then asked if Deputy Director Park Seung-gyu had threatened her. Lee Jono was surprised that he would assume that, but replied that he had not. She added that Deputy Park Seung-gyu is a very kind person. Jono looked at Ji-hoon and wondered if he was a happy person or an unhappy one. After all, he doesn't even know that he has a child. The girl even felt sorry for him, but suddenly she remembered that he had called her from the hospital on the day of the accident. Jono wondered who had called her if Ji-hoon had lost his memory. Lee Jono wasn't sure if it was really his voice, but if someone did it on purpose, it meant that they broke up because of someone's evil plan. Then the girl gathered her courage and asked the director if he had heard of her before, or her name. Jong Ji-hoon joked and asked if she had starred in any popular commercials. Jono wondered if she should tell him about herself and Iena now, since he was getting married soon. But she decided it was better to do it now than after the wedding. Lee Jono confessed to the principal that she had something to tell him. At that time, the yellow school bus brought Yena to her Padakone class. The kindergarten teacher gave the girl to the teacher from Paduk and went to pick up the other children. Gina saw that it wasn't her teacher, but she went with the girl. The girl in the cap said she was her new teacher, took the girl by the hand, and led her somewhere behind the building where the Padakone classes were held. Gina asked where they were going. The stranger replied that the courses would now be held in a different location. Gina broke free and ran away from her. The girl cried because she was lost in the big city. Park Dobin asked the teacher if he could go outside with her to pick up Gina. She allowed him to, and they went outside together. The boy was surprised and asked why Gina was still not there. The teacher from Paedokya was also surprised and said that she would call her teacher. She called the kindergarten and said that Gina was not there. The teacher said that the girl was dropped off the bus at a Paduk course, and the teacher picked her up. The girl was scared because she didn't pick her up. At this time, Lee Jono decided to tell Ji-hoon everything about herself and their child. Jong said that someone was calling her. The girl replied that it would wait, but the director insisted that she answer the phone because there might be something important. Then Jono said she would leave the office for a while. Ji-hoon was a little upset because he thought she would answer here and continue her story. When Jono answered the call, she heard that Yona had not shown up for the Padakone course. She only heard that her daughter got off the bus near the course and someone pretended to be a teacher. Jano arrived at the course as quickly as she could. The mother immediately asked the teacher if she knew anything about her daughter. The girl reassured her and said that everything was fine. Gina was with the policeman who would bring her here now. Jono almost fainted, and the teacher apologized to her for what had happened. Pak Do-bin's mother came up to them and greeted Jono. She told him that his son really liked Iena. Jono replied that she had heard a lot about Dobbin from her and smiled. Suddenly, they all saw Iena. The girl was walking towards them, holding the policeman's hand. It turned out that she found him herself, told him what had happened to her, and asked for help. So the policeman was able to find out where the Padakone courses were and brought her here. Jono hugged her daughter tightly and asked if she was okay, if she had any scratches. Then Mom asked Gina where she had gone so far and why she had gone alone. The girl replied that she was not alone. She told about a girl who introduced herself as her new teacher from Paducah. The policeman said that the police were already dealing with this suspicious person. Jono was scared that someone wanted to kidnap Gina. The policeman added that they were already checking the surveillance cameras and would let her know the results. The girl thanked her husband for his help. Jong Ji-hoon was sitting in his office at the time, waiting for Jono to return. When a long time had passed, he went out into the waiting room. The director asked the secretary where the new copywriter, Lee Jono, had gone. The girl replied that she had left a long time ago. Jong was surprised, but asked him to call her again. After a while, the secretary reported that Lee Jono was not at her workplace because she had gone somewhere on business. Ji-hoon was shocked that she had run away again. The teacher cried and apologized to Jono for giving Ian to a stranger. She said she should have checked better. Lee Jono said that her daughter was fine, so everything was fine. But she asked the teacher to call the classes before giving yen to the teacher. When everyone had left, Do-bin's mother offered Jono a ride home with Gina. Jono was so tired that she gladly accepted the offer. They were sitting in the car, and the boy's mother asked where they were going. Jono said she had to go to the market first. The woman said that her parents used to have a flower shop there, and Jono said that her mother has a cafe there now. The boy's mother said that she knew the cafe, and added that she would have to stop by and say hello to the owner. Gina told her mother that in kindergarten they drew animals and she drew a deer. The girl asked to get her drawing, which was in her bag. When Jono took out the drawing, she saw another piece of paper. The paper with her company logo on it said, "Father's looks, mother's character." The child resembles both parents. Lee Jono was shocked because she realized that someone knew about her having a child with Jeon Ji-hoon, and someone was watching them. The girl wondered if she should contact the police. She thought that they were unlikely to be able to help her since the note did not carry any threat. Jono suggested that someone who knew about her and Yena might be very influential in the city, like Jeon Ji-hoon's father or mother, for example. Kate interrupted her thoughts and asked Jono if she worked. When the girl answered yes, the woman said that she was incredible. After all, she managed to work and be a mother. Lee Jono replied that everything was not so good because she had just run away from the office without warning anyone, and now she didn't know what to do and how to continue taking her daughter to these courses. Do-bin's mother suggested to Jono that she could pick up Gina and Do-bin from kindergarten and take them to classes, and then take them home. They can play with them at home until Jono can pick up Gina. Lee Jono replied that it was a very good offer, but she was worried that it would be too burdensome for Kate. The woman replied that Gina was a very nice girl, and that Do-bin obeyed her much better than his parents. Then Jono agreed to try and thanked Kate for her help. Jeon Ji-hoon was sitting on the couch in his office, wondering why Lee Jono was acting so strangely towards him. Park Seung-gyu peeked into his office. The friend asked the principal if he was going home. Ji-hoon remained silent. Then Seung-gyu said that his son had fallen in love with a girl at first sight. Park Seung-gyu said that he found it very funny. Jeon Ji-hoon replied that only he found it funny. His friend asked what happened that he was so angry. The principal said he could go home. Seung-gyu got upset and added that he didn't like him at all as a friend. Ji-hoon replied that he liked him. Jung added that that was why he allowed him to be around, even though his mother had sent him away. Seung-gyu was upset that his friend thought that way about him. The friend replied to Ji-hoon that he didn't appreciate what he had, and the people around him just passed by and meant nothing to him. The young man added that he sincerely supported him. Seung-gyu yelled at Ji-hoon and left, offended. The last thing the man said was that he was on his friend's side, not his mother's. Ji-hoon was upset that he had offended his friend. Lee Jo-no took her daughter to kindergarten and asked her to be very careful with strangers. She reminded her that she should not go with them and take the food they offer. The girl replied that she understood everything. Then her mother asked what she would do if someone asked her to help him. Gina replied that she would help. Jo-no cried because she had such a kind daughter. She hugged the girl close and said that adults should not ask little children for help. While Lee Jo-no was drinking coffee at work by the coffee machine, her secretary approached her and asked if she had been to the director's. Jo-no was surprised and said, "No." Then the girl asked Jo-no if she had seen the note on her computer, but she hadn't. The secretary said that the director had been looking for her since yesterday. Lee Jo-no completely forgot about it and quickly ran to his office. She was afraid that he would be angry with her for running away without warning anyone yesterday. When Jo-no entered the office, she saw Ji-hoon sleeping on the couch. She walked closer and saw that he was sleeping in yesterday's clothes. This meant that the director hadn't gone home yesterday. Maybe there was so much work. Jo-no looked at him sleeping and wondered why he was as handsome as he had been then. The girl wondered if his mother was still standing between them or if she had ordered the kidnapping of Gina. Jo-no cried and said that first she had to deal with the criminals who were threatening her daughter. First, she would ensure the safety of their daughter's life, and then she would tell Ji-hoon everything. The girl was about to leave when the man grabbed her hand. Director John Ji-hoon said that the girl woke him up with her kiss. Lee Jo-no was indignant and replied that she had not kissed anyone. But the director insisted. Then the girl confessed that she had been crying, and her tears fell on his cheek. The director was surprised and asked why she was crying over him. Jo-no quickly thought of something to say. She replied that he looked a lot like her father, who had died a long time ago. But Ji-hoon didn't believe this nonsense. He asked the girl to show him a picture of her father. Then Jo-no said that her father was just as handsome as he was, and did not resemble anything in particular. Lee Jo-no said goodbye and ran to the door, and the director asked the girl why she was looking for him yesterday. She replied that this was exactly what she was looking for. The last thing Ji-hoon managed to shout was that he had been waiting for her for an hour yesterday. Jo-no sat down in her seat and thought about the fact that she had been waiting for him for 7 years. Just as she was about to start working, Jo-no called Chae-in-bi and asked her to come over. Jo-no didn't like the fact that she was constantly tugging at her. When the girl approached, In-bi asked where she had gone yesterday while working. Lee Jo-no replied that she had urgent matters to attend to. The manager said that she wasn't the only one with personal matters. In-bi then asked why the entire team had to work instead of her. Lee Jo-no replied that she had done everything yesterday and sent it to her by mail. The girl asked her manager to check her computer more carefully again. Jo-no went to her seat with the thought that no one should stand in her way and interfere with her work. She would not allow Chae-in-bi to humiliate her anymore. The job of a copywriter was so complex that it was difficult to work, even when there were no distractions. The constant meetings and inventions of ideas exhausted the girl. Jo-no was very tired and called for the elevator. When the elevator doors opened, she saw John Ji-hoon there. The girl was unsure whether to get in or not. When she did get in, they were a little uncomfortable together. But before the elevator doors closed, Jo-no saw Park Seung-gyu, who also wanted to get in. The girl was glad that they would not be going alone and invited Shin-gyu to enter the elevator. But the man turned away from them and said that he would go next time. Jo-no realized that they had had a fight. The girl asked the director how he could have had a fight with such a beautiful person as his friend. Ji-hoon looked at her in a way that made Jo-no realize she had said a little too much. The girl added that he just looked a lot like her father, which was why she was so worried. Then Ji-hoon asked if daughters always get as attached to their fathers as she does. Jo-no smiled and replied that it was because daughters always love their fathers very much. Jo-no then asked the director why he couldn't make up with a friend who actually cared about him. Ji-hoon replied that he would think about it. At that time, the children were playing at the Park family's house, and Kate was happy because Dobin had found a girlfriend. When the doorbell rang, the woman ran to answer, thinking that it was Seung-gyu who had forgotten his keys. Outside the door, she saw John Ji-hoon with a basket of fruit. She hospitably invited the man into their home. Kate said that Seung-gyu should be here soon. Dobin asked his mother, who had come to visit them. The woman reminded the boy that it was his father's friend and work colleague. The boy greeted the man. Then Dobin pointed to the girl and said that she was his favorite friend. Ji-hoon realized that this was the same girl that he had fallen in love with at first sight, according to his father. The man looked at the girl carefully. Kate said she was Dobin's friend from kindergarten and Paduk course. Ji-hoon thought she was very pretty, but all the children were so cute. Park Seung-gyu was slowly walking home when his wife called him and said that Jeon Ji-hyung had come to visit them. Kate asked her husband to go home quickly. Dobin asked Ji-hoon if he could play Paduk and brought a board and stones. The man agreed and asked the boy if he was good at it. Dobin said that he was taking Paduk lessons. The boy called Gina to watch him play with his dad's friend. When Dobin was walking, Gina kept giving him hints and correcting his mistakes. Ji-hoon was surprised that a girl of her age could play the game so well. Kate came over with a plate of fruit and praised the children. The woman told Ji-hoon that Yena was a very beautiful and intelligent girl. Then the man asked the girl who taught her to play Paduk so well. Jeon Ji-hoon suggested that her father taught her. Yena replied that she didn't have a father. Dobin was upset by this and asked if she wanted him to share her father with her. The girl replied that it was okay because she was already used to living without her father. Suddenly, Park Seung-gyu came to the apartment and Jeon Ji-hoon said that it was time for him to go. Gina grabbed Ji-hoon by the jacket and asked if he would come to their house tomorrow. The man replied that he had a lot of work to do. Then the girl asked if he could come in a week, next Monday. Ji-hoon replied that he would also be very busy. The girl asked if he was free on Monday in 2 weeks so they could play Padukone again. Ji-hoon agreed and left. He thought that children forget things quickly. Lee Jono ran to pick up her daughter when it was already dark. She asked Kate if there was any trouble with the children. The woman replied that Dobin had become more obedient with Gina, so you can bring her every day. When his mother asked Dobin if he liked spending time with Gina, the boy said that he would like to live with her. The mothers laughed and said goodbye until tomorrow. As Jono walked home with her daughter, she asked what she and Dobin had been doing. The girl replied that it was a secret. Jono was a little surprised because they had never had secrets from each other before. Then Gina said that she would definitely have to go to Dobin again, especially on Monday, 2 weeks later. Park Seung-gyu went to walk his friend down that street at that time, but they missed Lee Jono and Yena by a bit. The men went into a bar and each had a can of beer. Jeon Ji-hoon apologized to his friend, who asked if he knew what he was apologizing for. Park Seung-gyu admitted that he was deeply hurt that Ji-hoon thought his mother had set him up. He added that even small things can hurt a person deeply, especially someone who cares about you. What really worried Shin-gyu was that Ji-hoon wasn't the same as before. 7 years ago, he was a cheerful person. The guy had many friends and many plans for the future. But because of this terrible accident, he fell into a terrible depression. Outwardly, he looks good, but his inner self is very distorted. He is a young man who exudes winter but still harbors the warmth of summer. Shin-gyu wanted to help him be happy. Park Seung-gyu told Ji-hoon that he would always be there for him. The man thanked his friend for his support. Seung-gyu then asked Ji-hoon why he decided to come visit him. Ji-hoon remembered Lee Jono's words and replied that Seung-gyu was very important to him. It was Jono who convinced him to go to his friend's house to apologize. The director entered the conference room and saw Lee Jono chatting pleasantly with her colleague, Song Ki-hoon. Jong Ji-hoon asked the young man how much time he had left before the meeting began. Ki-hoon replied that there were still 10 minutes. Then the director asked him to print out the minutes of last week's meeting and bring them here. The young man said he would do everything and left. Jeon Ji-hoon sat down next to Lee Jono and told her that he had reconciled with his friend thanks to her advice. As they rode together into the elevator, Jono said that Seung-gyu was very important to Jeon. The girl added that he should untie the knot on his favorite ribbon instead of cutting it. Jono replied that it was very good. Lee Jono herself would like someone to help her sort out her complicated situation. Song Ki-hoon brought the papers, and Ji-hoon was upset that he came back so soon. The planning manager said that he wanted to hear new ideas from everyone present at the meeting. And after everyone was heard, the planning department would make its adjustments. Chae In-bi asked permission to start first. The girl said that people in their 20s and 30s, despite their energy, feel morally exhausted. Jong Ji-hoon listened to her and turned his pen in his hand. Jono, who was sitting next to him, got angry because it was terribly distracting. Then his pen fell to the floor at her feet. The girl wondered if he had done it on purpose, and he did, despite the fact that his fiancée was sitting across from them. Inbi was sharing her idea at the time that a tired young man finds a can of beer in the fridge faster than food. After all, it is the taste of youth and healing after a working day. Jono crawled under the table to retrieve the pen that had fallen. Jihoon also reached for his pen at the same time. Their hands touched. Manager Song Mi-ran asked if it was too simple. The man from the advertising department said that there was a flaw in this idea. It was too risky. He added that an existing beer commercial featured a bar full of young people and a model drinking beer in the background. The man believed that no one would be surprised by that. Then Lee Jono suggested her own version of the ad. The TV shows a bar full of young people. The audience thinks it's a noisy bar, but the volume gradually decreases and the sound of sips appears. Then, they show a model calmly drinking a beer in her room and watching TV alone. On her screen, there's a noisy bar, but it's actually a person just watching a movie and drinking a beer. Song Mi-ran and the woman from the planning department praised Lee Jono. Everyone really liked her idea. Only Chae In-bi was annoyed that there was always so much attention around this girl. During the break, In-bi went to the restroom. She turned on the faucet in the sink and wondered why Song Ji-han had been acting so strange lately. The whole time Lee Jono is around, the atmosphere between them is kind of tense. The girl remembered the note at Lee Jono's workplace saying that the director was calling her in. In-bi didn't want them to see each other, so she tore up the note. It seemed to her that after the accident, Ji-hoon had changed, and now only she understood him. Therefore, she thought that he would be hers. But In-bi didn't understand why he chose Lee Jono. A girl from In-bi's department came up to her and asked why she was so sad. At first, In-bi wanted to chase her away, but then she had an idea and told Manny that she would tell her everything, but it was a secret. The girl replied that she understood everything and would not tell anyone. In-bi said that the new member of the second group, copywriter Lee Jono, was her classmate from high school. The girl replied that she didn't know they were so close. The manager replied that this was not entirely true. After all, the girl came from a rather complicated family. In-bi added that she had tried to establish a relationship with her, but she turned out to be a thief. She said she was the kind of girl who stole your identity and pretended to be you. And she also liked to steal other people's husbands. In-bi confessed that she was very worried because Lee Jono often visited Jong Ji-hoon's office. Manny reassured her and said that she would check on them. Song Mi-ran came out of the bathroom and they were scared that she heard their conversation. Manny said that now the manager will hate Lee Jono because a girl like her took her husband. She added that they were also colleagues at work. In-bi was pleased that now everyone would avoid or hate the Lee Jono she hated. Jono was playing with her daughter, but her mind was on work. The girl was worried that her colleagues seemed to be avoiding her. And even her boss, Song Mi-ran, was not communicating with her. She was worried she had done something wrong. Jaina made Jono forget about work by shouting that it was exactly a week until her birthday. The mother replied that she couldn't forget that her beautiful daughter was turning 6. She asked her daughter what she wanted for her birthday. Jaina said that it would be enough for her that her mother would spend the day with her instead of at work. Jono hugged her daughter and thought that she wanted him to know about Gina. When Lee Jono gave birth to her daughter, she was very scared to see a red spot on her forehead that looked like a burn. The hospital said it was called an angel's kiss. Doctors promised that the spot would disappear within a year, but sometimes it was still visible. In fact, Jono thought that Gina had turned her life into a paradise, like in that legend. After a weekend at work, Manny approached Lee Jono and asked if she had heard of a corporate party. Jono replied that she had not heard of such a thing. Then the girl said that there was an advertiser who was having a corporate party with the production team at a nearby bar today. But the account manager was away on a business trip. All the other employees are busy. So she needs to find out which bar the corporate party will be held at and talk to the advertiser. Previously, Jono would have refused to communicate with the advertiser, but now, for some reason, it didn't bother her. She agreed and went to work. Director Jong Ji-hyung noticed that no one was at the workplace and asked Manny why no one in the second production team was at their workplaces. The girl replied that 2 employees had gone to print documents, while Lee Jono had gone to a corporate party. The director was surprised and asked why she had gone there alone. John Ji-hoon called the Human Resources Department and asked for the contact information of employee Lee Jo-no. Then he saw her on the first floor. Suddenly, it started raining heavily, so Jono stood at the entrance of the office building and didn't dare to go out without an umbrella. Ji-hoon gave his umbrella to Seung-yu and went to her. The man approached Jono and asked if she had an umbrella. She said she didn't. Then Ji-hoon suggested that she run with him under his jacket to the store across the street. Jono didn't want to get wet, so she agreed. Park Seung-yu went outside and saw them running together in the rain. He smiled because he was happy that his friend was coming back to life. When they ran to the store, they were told that only children's umbrellas with ducks were left. On the street, Ji-hoon said that he would return this children's umbrella to the store. Jono said he could give it to her if he didn't need it. Then the man asked why she needed it. The girl quickly thought of something and added that she didn't have any umbrellas at home. John Ji-hoon asked the girl where she was going. Jono said she was sent to a corporate party and said she wanted to check out the bar Ki-hoon Shus. Us suggested first. Che. In-bi approached Manny and asked where Lee Jono was. The girl replied that she had sent her to a corporate party and asked her to organize everything. In-bi was pleased that Manny had come up with the idea of sending Lee Jono there. She thought that the girl would work alone, organizing the corporate party until all the employees gathered there. The girls noticed that the director's secretary was already going home. In-bi asked her if Director John had already gone home. The girl replied that he had gone to a corporate party. In-bi quickly ran there, followed by Manny. On the way, she yelled at her because things didn't go according to their plan. When In-bi saw Jono with Ji-hoon, she felt sick. They sat at the bar, laughing and chatting pleasantly with the advertiser. At the same time, In-bi remembered her father's words about her being incapable of anything. The judge told his daughter that she had to get married before his election, which was next year. He laughed at the fact that she couldn't even marry Ji-hoon to him. In-bi decided that she would do it, no matter what it cost her. Now it had become the meaning of her existence, and she would not give in, especially to Lee Jono. After the corporate party, Jono went outside, and Ji-hoon followed her. He wanted to escort the girl, but she refused and left. The man was worried that she was always running away from him. He started thinking about how to make her come back. Ji-hoon shouted her name, "Jono!" and the girl stopped. The girl thought he remembered her and ran to Ji-hoon. She hugged him tightly and told him he was back. The man laughed and said she had drunk too much. Jono was shocked that she had made a mistake. When the man turned away, she quickly ran away from him and went home. Ji-hoon was upset that he couldn't see her off. At breakfast, Jono told her mother that she had fallen ill after the rain the previous day. The mother begged her daughter to take the day off and lie down. But Jono said that tomorrow was still a day off, and she had to work today. But when she entered the office building, she immediately regretted disobeying her mother. The girl decided that the main thing was not to see the director. She only thought about it when he approached her and asked where she had disappeared to so abruptly yesterday. They entered the crowded elevator of an office building. Because there were so many people, Jono couldn't get out on her floor and Ji-hoon helped her. He pulled the girl out of the elevator by the hand and held her close. When Jono pulled away from his embrace, the director said that she didn't look very good. The man asked if she was sick. The girl said she was fine and went to work. Song Ki-hoon was very happy to see her and praised her for her work yesterday. When Jono started working on the computer, she felt sick. John Ji-hoon texted her to come to his office. The girl didn't understand what he wanted and left. Jono was shaking all over because she had a fever. It seemed to her that the office was very cold. When she entered the principal's office, John Ji-hoon gave her a packet of cold medicine and said he bought it especially for her. Lee Jono replied that she was fine and he didn't need to worry so much. The director said that she should take the medicine in order to continue working. Jono didn't want to take his medicine, but she didn't even have the strength to argue with him. Ji-hoon noticed that she was cold and threw his spare jacket over the girl. He said she didn't have to worry because he wasn't wearing it anyway. Jono took one box and said she would only take that to finish today. When the girl left, Ji-hoon wondered why he was having such a hard time with her. And Jono sat at the computer and remembered what Ji-hoon was like 7 years ago. Although he doesn't remember it, he cared for her just as much as he does now. Everyone went to lunch, and Jana was left alone. She was very sick. Song Miran approached the girl and asked if she was okay. Lee Jono replied that she had taken the medicine and was feeling better. Then the manager suggested that they have lunch together. Jono enjoyed having lunch with the woman and having a pleasant conversation. After lunch, Song Miran asked the girl if she could ask her something personal. Song Miran asked if they had known Director Jong before. Jono was shocked by her question, but the woman said she could not answer. The manager said that she noticed from the first day that there was a special atmosphere between them. Song Miran asked why she didn't tell the director if they knew each other. Jono replied that he was getting married soon, and they were also work colleagues. The woman said that she would always listen and give advice if Jono wanted to talk about something. When everyone returned from their lunch break, the director asked the first production team why they had handed over their duties to a person from the second production team. He scolded employee Manny for letting a new employee entertain an advertiser instead of working herself. The girl replied that she had a lot of work to do. Then the director suggested that he go to her workplace and look at her completed work. After reviewing the documents on her computer, the man said that he was disappointed because she had been working so long and there was no result. The director added that she would be better off attending a corporate party. Besides, clients were returning her work. Jong Ji-hyun said that now Manny must send him a report on the work done to his email every 18 hours. Manny was upset and asked Inbi what she should do now. Inbi calmed her down and promised to talk to the principal. She ran after him to his office. Inbi asked why he was avoiding her. Ji-hoon replied that they were not a couple and had never been in love. The girl was shocked and asked what she should do now. Ji-hoon replied that she could tell his mother that they were breaking up. Inbi asked how he could say that so easily. He added that there was nothing between them. The girl ran away from his office, and Park Seung-gyu came to Ji-hoon and asked what happened. The friend asked why Inbi ran away from him in tears. Ji-hoon replied that she was upset because he had kicked her out. Seung-yu knew how much Inbi had been taking care of him in the hospital and supporting Ji-hoon all these years. So he felt a little sorry for the girl, but he understood that his friend's heart belonged to someone else. Seung-yu told Ji-hoon that he had seen him happy with Jono yesterday. Ji-hoon replied that it was the first time he felt what he felt around her. His friend said that he was worried about her and protected her, and that is what true love is. The director argued with Seung-gyu about this. Ji-hoon really liked Jono, but he didn't understand how he could love someone he had only known for 10 days so much.